Hi guys, today's video is going to be about questions and answers with regards to rental properties here in the UK. Thanks for visiting my channel Free Your Finance. I make videos documenting my journey towards financial independence. If this sounds like something you could be interested in watching, please hit the subscribe button below and you'll get notified when I upload more videos. So as I said at the beginning of the video, today I'm going to be covering some questions and answers. These were actually sent to me by a friend of mine. He knew I had a little bit of experience within rental properties, so he asked a couple of questions. I emailed back some answers and realised quite quickly, actually, these could be quite helpful for my channel. So I checked with him if he'd be okay with me sharing it, and he kindly said yes. Now my plan is to put each question with the timestamp that they're going to be shown in this video in the description below. This means you can look at the description, find if there's any questions you're interested in seeing my answer to, and scroll to that part of the video to find my exact answer. So his first question was that he'd seen a couple of different ways that people are getting mortgages for a rental property. The first being obviously a buy-to-let mortgage. And then the other he'd seen was something called a permission to let, also known as a consent to let. Firstly, all of my properties are indeed on buy-to-let mortgages. A consent to let is something slightly different. It's usually when you've used the property as your primary residence and then you decide to move out. You're not sure whether or not you want to sell your property or not, and you decide that you may wish to rent it for a little while. Some mortgage lenders can then give you a permission to let, also known as a consent to let, for a short period of time. Now often a permission to let is only granted for a short period of time, such as 6 to 12 months, so you will need to check with your lender what their rules are. I'm no mortgage expert, and you may find there are loopholes around getting a permission to let when buying a brand new buy-to-let property, but from my experience I believe the best route to go is to indeed get a buy-to-let mortgage. His next question was, who do I use for my buy-to-let mortgages and find the most competitive? At the time I purchased my properties, I've always used a mortgage broker, as they have access to the whole market and can see the best possible rates for you. My buy-to-let mortgages are currently with Precise Mortgages, Birmingham Midshires, and then I have multiple with the Mortgage Works. By no means am I saying these lenders are going to give you the best rates right now, so it's really important you do the searches yourself or get a mortgage broker like I did. Next question, he stated that he's seen that on average it looks like you need to put a 20% deposit down. Is this right? This is correct. You'll find that most lenders do require at least a 20% deposit. This is not me saying that you can't get a mortgage offer with a deposit of less than 20%, but you will find that rates increase and they're not quite as good deals. Usually the more deposit you put down, naturally the better deal you get. Next up, he asked what term my mortgages are over. All of my mortgages are over 25 years, and this was actually done purposely as part of my retirement plan. For any of you that have watched some of my previous videos, you will know that I actually have all my buy-to-let mortgages on a repayment schedule. I've tied in the 25-year mortgage term to be paid off by the time I'm 50, which was my original retirement date, although that has now been lowered quite a bit actually. Next question, he asked, do I overpay my mortgage? Again, I have briefly touched on this question in a previous video before. I have overpaid my mortgage before, however right now I've decided not to do so. I personally believe with rates so low, it's quite easy to beat that rate and that saving of overpaying your mortgage in a simple, low-cost index fund. I'm not going to go in too much detail in this video, and I am planning on making a whole video just about that subject to discuss my reasons why. Next up, he asked, did I buy my properties through a standard sale or an auction? Now, all of my buy-to-lets were bought through a standard sale via an estate agent of properties that I actually found on Rightmove. Don't get me wrong, you can get some amazing deals at auction, but you really need to know what you're doing and know what you're buying too. If you win the auction, you're expected to pay a deposit on the day, and this can be lost if you then drop out of the purchase. So please be careful, and again, make sure you've got the right professional advice. I do agree you can get some great deals at auctions, especially if you're planning on flipping homes quite quickly. His next question was, how did I decide what locations I buy my properties in? So I've always purchased my properties local to my area, as obviously I have the best knowledge of this area. I watch the markets quite regularly, and I have alerts set up on Rightmove for areas that I buy. This means I know the rough cost of the properties and the rough rental estimates for the properties too. I've always looked for properties close to train stations and with parking. For me, this is vitally important, as the towns I buy in are very close to London on the train, so I do get a lot of professional workers that are commuting daily and looking for a place to live. Now, because the area I buy is close to London, property prices are quite high. You will definitely be able to get better rental yields by moving your search slightly up north, which a lot of investors are indeed doing. Personally, I manage all of my flats myself, so I love the fact that they're all local and I can get to any one of my properties within 5 to 10 minutes. His next question was, did I get advice from an estate agent about rental income? So as I mentioned in a previous answer on this video, I actually have alerts set up on Rightmove for areas that I'm interested in. They're really easy to set up and you'll get notified by email for properties that fall within your search range. This means you actually know the property values in this small search term really well, almost better than an estate agent who's covering a much vaster area. Next question, he asked, have I ever used an estate agent that guarantees rent? No, I haven't ever used this, and I haven't ever researched it either. However, I have heard it is quite expensive for that peace of mind, and in my opinion, managing the properties yourself isn't that difficult. Again, this will come down to your risk tolerance though, and what makes you comfortable. And then finally, his last question was, have I decided to use an estate agent or manage the properties myself? Now, again, this one I've already answered in this video, but I do indeed manage all of my properties myself. I went through 4 different estate agents when I first got into rental properties. I was probably very unlucky, but I had really bad experiences, to be honest with you. I was having to chase them often to do the checks that were needed. They were losing keys. There was all sorts of problems. And I thought, hang on a minute, I'm paying you quite a lot of money and doing a lot of the work myself anyway. When I had a problem in one of my properties, all they'd do is ring me up and say, Gary, what do you want us to do? I actually spoke to a friend of mine who had a lot more properties than me, and he said, what the hell are you using estate agents for? Manage them yourself. This is an avenue I'd never thought of before and didn't know where to start, but with some help from him and a little research, I quickly found that it's not that hard to manage your own properties, and I now manage all of my properties myself. I'm not going to go into too much detail of how I do this, how I find new tenants, how I protect their deposit, how I even do the reference checks. This is going to be a whole new video. I don't want to give out too much information in one video. You guys will never come back. But I hope you found today's video really useful. If you have any more questions that you want to add on to my friend's question that you want me to give my honest answer for, then please leave them in the comments below. Like I always say, I'm no professional and this is only my opinion. This is not necessarily the correct answer, it's just what I've done and what I've found works for me. If you found this video helpful, please hit like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me, especially as I'm quite a new channel and still growing on YouTube. Take care and speak to you soon.